Welcome everyone. As everyone starts to funnel in, that number keeps growing. Welcome, welcome. That number is jumping up, you two. Look at this. Awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar session today, Assessment Essentials, a deep dive into mCLASS and mCLASS Lectura. My name is XJ Silv, and I'm on the literacy marketing team here at Amplify. Today's webinar will be recorded, and you'll receive the recording link for you to rewatch as you'd like from Zoom. And everyone here with us today will also receive a certificate of attendance in that email. If you would like to access closed captions, click the Show Captions button in the bottom tray. Throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A and we'll try to get to them at the end if time allows. We would love comments in the chat. And to start, let's find out where everyone's joining us from and what your role in education is. As those come in, let's see where everybody's coming from.
Ohio.
Queen, Ohio. We got a lot of people from Ohio at Amplify. San Diego, New Jersey, Iowa, Illinois. Oh my gosh.
I'm coming in fast.
Arizona, New York, Bay Area, South Dakota. I think I saw Caribbean in Australia. Wow.
Wow,
Well,
New Zealand.
yeah, we're international, you guys. Big
Wow.
deal. Louisiana, family's home state. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. We are so happy to have all of you here. And just one quick note, there's one more session in this mini webinar series. I'm going to link that in the chat below. And thank you again for joining us. We're so excited to have senior biliteracy and multilingual specialist and host of the Beyond My Ears podcast, Anna Torres, and Amplify Literacy product specialist, Charissa Snyder, with us here today. Thank you both so much for joining us. They are going to dive into mCLASS DIBELS 8th edition and mCLASS Lectura with us. There hopefully we'll have some time at the end for questions, so please drop them in the Q&A box, and we'll be monitoring them throughout the presentation. Without further ado, Anna, Charissa, take it away.
It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Charissa Snyder, and I'm actually coming to you from my beautiful state of Colorado, where I used to use mCLASS in my district. And I'm also graced with my beautiful colleague, Ms. Ana Torres, and she actually helped with the calibration study with mCLASS Lectura. So we are super excited to be talking to you about mCLASS, DIBELS, how do we do this? What do some of the different reports look like? So let's just take a little journey down memory lane when this all began, when we originally put DIBELS on a Palm Pilot. Do you want to show your prop?
Oh, I would love to. Now, this is gonna, pretty much show you how old I am, but I have actually my original BlackBerry, which is Palm Pilot-like. So I remember the days, Charissa, of back in the day of DIBELS on a Palm Pilot.
Yes, but guess what? You're not going to have to give an assessment on a Palm Pilot. But since then, and thank you, Anna, for being our lovely Vanna White and showing our prop, we've grown into an assessment and curriculum company that assesses not only in English, but you're going to also see this in Spanish. There's been a long history gone into developing these two assessments, so that way you get the complete picture of a student's assets. Both mCLASS DIBELS 8th edition and Lectura, they're going to have some key components. We're going to look at assessments. It's going to both serve as a comprehensive tool for both dyslexia screening and progress monitoring, consolidating these capabilities into just one platform, which is mCLASS. mCLASS is not just a universal screener, but you're going to see that it's going to be so much more. It's going to generate those different reports to empower educators, not just from coast to coast, but from worldwide. So that way you can really get a grassroots understanding of your student data. And after you have this data, you're going to also get different instructional components to really leverage that data where you're going to get to see different suggestions on targeted activities that's going to address those different literacy needs. So we're going to look at how mCLASS is assessed. mCLASS is teacher administered but digitally scored. mCLASS with DIBELS 8th edition is going to be where you are sitting one-to-one with the student and you are hearing how they are producing that sound or reading that sound spelling, but you also get the efficiency of it being instantly scored. You're going to see that there is grouping done. It's going to provide you with different detailed but actionable insights immediately, so then that way you can start to drive your instruction and not just get a single data point, but you get the full picture. mCLASS, on top of looking at different reports, you're going to have reports at every level, which we'll get into a little bit deeper, but just know that you have reports for school leaders. We're going to have teacher reports and caregiver reports. It aligns with mCLASS Lectura for more consistent support in both English and in Spanish, but in their literacy development. So teachers are going to have a consistent expectation and a consistent approach into both mCLASS DIBELS 8 and Lectura. As far as your frequency on who and when you're going to want to benchmark and progress monitor, benchmarking is going to take place 3 times a year at those big pivotal moments at the beginning, the middle, and at the end of the year, where we're going to want to assess all of our students on these grade level measures. So that way we can see who is at risk or not for meeting those end of the year goals. Depending on your grade level, that's where you're going to see a time between 5 to 7 minutes, because each of the measures, which we'll look at, they're going to take about 1 minute to do. In between the benchmarks is when we want to conduct more frequent check-ins with progress monitoring. The recommended who and when, the 2 to 4 weeks, and who we want to progress monitor, students who are in that well below composite score, that's coming from the University of Oregon. They recommend that we really want to progress monitor students every 2 to 4 weeks, and the students that we want to check in on are going to be those in that well below proficiency composite score. mCLASS is going to help within the amount of time, taking about 1 to 2 minutes, and I'll show you what that looks like after we look at what do the measures look like. These are going to be mCLASS DIBELS 8th measures, where it's going to cover all of the foundational skills, even going into comprehension. Within mCLASS, you're going to see we're starting with different earlier skills to be assessed. And then you also have through mCLASS different gating rules and stop rules designed to save you time for needless testing. So here would be the measures that you are assessing in each of the different grade levels, but just know that mCLASS is going to cover grade levels kindergarten to 6th grade. These come from, again, the University of Oregon. And when we look at how this compares to mCLASS Lectura is also going to cover foundational skills respective into Spanish. So mCLASS Lectura is also going to look at different reading difficulties required, just like in mCLASS DIBELS 8, covering all of those foundational skills, which are predictors in reading success. Important to point out, though, is that the skill coverage is going to be the same in different skill areas, like in kindergarten to 1st grade, are measured based on how Spanish is taught, phonological and phonemic awareness, assessing things like phonemes and syllable segmentation and decoding measures, including assessing syllable sounds. mCLASS also has some additional measures that you can use, which have been validated for reading difficulty. There are 2 of them, which I'll show on the next screen, that you can see here, that are kind of noteworthy because they are going to help you when identifying students who are at risk of reading difficulty, which includes dyslexia, and you're going to get a risk indicator that looks something like this in the different reports. So this is helpful because they are free upon request. We know that all states and places just have different requirements and policies, but when you reach out to your local Amplify representative and you ask them, hey, can we turn on one of these or all 4 of them, if this were English, looking at DIBELS 8, or for Spanish, we can absolutely have one or all of them turned on, so that way you can get deeper insights into student thinking. here is what some of those look like, and whether it is either done via teacher, being teacher administered, or done online. But you have rapid automatized naming, we have listening comprehension or the oral languaging screener, vocabulary, and spelling. The two that I kind of mentioned that are noteworthy, which are going to give you that risk indicator, are going to be rapid automatized naming and RAN. We want to show you what it looks like when you are assessing mCLASS, because again, one of the strengths is it is teacher administered, but digitally scored. You want to be able to hear, can that student produce that sound, or how are they attacking this word? Then nothing is going to be a surprise when you are reading the different reports. So here's kind of the setup of what that looks like. The teacher is going to have a device in hand. It doesn't have to be a touchscreen device, kind of like you see here. It can absolutely be done on a laptop or a Chromebook with a mouse, but you need something to track how that student is reading. And then the students are sitting right next to you, and they are going to be reading from a list of words like you see here, or maybe they're reading a passage. And as they're doing that, you are marking how they are reading. So this is what the administration looks like in mCLASS DIBELS 8th edition. And it's going to be similar in mCLASS Lectura. I don't know, Anna, if you have anything to add, but
You're doing a great job. And so one of the things that, as you hear Charissa going through this, is we're really trying to spotlight and highlight that the platforms will be similar on both sides of the house, on the English assessment side, as well as the Spanish assessment side. For student, I mean, and Charissa and I always like to use this phrase, gentle on the teacher as well as gentle on the student.
yes. And with that, just know that the experience for both the classroom teacher and the student is going to be consistent, but respective again to the language. So listening for syllable segmentation versus what we saw in the other one, which is phoneme segmentation. I want to get to show you what this looks like in a video when we are going through a beginning of the year phonemic segmentation fluency. So this student, I know you can't see it right now, but they're going to be going through breaking apart the sounds in a word. And what you're going to get to see that mCLASS offers is that high level of fidelity, where we are going to guide you on what to say, when to start, and when to stop. And even before the assessment begins, you're going to notice there's a practice item, allowing both the teacher or the assessor and the student to get some more support before jumping into the assessment. Mr. Say, you're going to notice he looks like a little mini Pac-Man. He's going to be that helpful guide in scripting everything out, keeping consistency and timing helpful for the teachers. And then as soon as this is done, you're going to get to see that instant scoring. So I will click play, and we're going to get to look at a first grader beginning of the year phonemic segmentation fluency.
The sounds in the word am are Your turn. Tell me the sounds in the word am. Tell me any sounds you hear. Okay, here is your first word. For. Here.
So this is how the teacher is capturing how that is going. And because mCLASS is a battery of 1-minute measures, we're going to count up to 1 minute. You'll get to notice the maroon screen is going to turn yellow about the 55-second, just giving a quick visual. We're almost done. Over on the left-hand side is more information as far as who is giving the assessment, the time of the year, and the measure. Lee Aaron is in first grade. This is beginning of the year, and the measure is phonemic segmentation fluency. Our trusty guy, Mr. Say, letting us know the word to say, as well as the words that are coming up for the student to break apart the sounds, or if this were a list of words, the words that are next on that sheet, which you have a kit that you can also have so you don't have to keep track of all the papers. And then here in the center is how the teacher is responding to the student breaking apart the sounds or reading. They had a miscue. You can see how you are able to see those miscues in the different reports, which Anna's going to get to show us. But we know, especially in first grade, and right now, they're starting to monitor their reading. So even if the student is keeping track of how they are doing, and they did a self-correct. You can click that again, it would go from red to green, and you're able to see that green with an SC for self-correct in the different reports. But what a great thing to bring up during parent-teacher conferences or report card, that is, your student is keeping track of their reading and monitoring it, which is what we want them to do. I'll pull this a little bit forward so we can see what happens when that maroon screen turns yellow. The student will start to make more of an onset rhyme, but you're going to get to see the instant scoring, which can help guide our instruction. And even after that, we can look at, after we've given a benchmark assessment, now we want to conduct more frequent progress monitoring and how mCLASS is going to support the most relevant measure for you. So we'll pull this here-ish.
First.
First.
Bring.
Bring.
Stop. Good job.
That's actually my favorite part, was when the student looks over Charissa and then that teacher says, good job.
Well, and they all want to learn how they did, right? He was leading in, he's like, hey, how did I do? And this is what you can show your students, because this is the instant scoring that you get. So you can say, look at all this hard work that we did, or hey, we have a lot of hard work ahead of us. We can see that this student scored well below in the skill of phonemic awareness, and we have a couple of other measures